So the first order of business this morning is a Credentials Committee report. I see Mr. Watts at the microphone. Are you prepared for that?
Yes.
All right. I need everybody to come to order. Welcome.
Nathan Watts, test.
Quieter. Okay. What's wrong?
Toast. Oh, there we go.
All right, Mr. Watts, go ahead.
Nathan Watts, Harris County. The numbers this morning from the Credentials Committee. Currently, we have 210 delegates and 34 alternates who are checked in. So there's a total of 220 seated voters right now. 220. And it just changed to 219. I guess someone checked out.
219.
So our quorum is 110. 2/3 is 146. And 5/8 is 137.
147?
137.
37.
And 219 total?
Yes. Thank you for that, Mr. Watts. All right. So the next item is our Senate District caucuses met yesterday afternoon, and the only thing they had to do, if they wanted to do it at all, was to elect their select reps. And so this morning we need to do a rundown of who has been elected to the State Libertarian Executive Committee from each Senate district who was represented here yesterday. As of last report, we had 2 SDs that had not reported in. Yes.
As of 20 seconds ago, thank you, Burns, we now have all our minutes. So
Okay. So will you be announcing this?
Yeah.
Yes. So the secretary will now announce the Senate District caucus, the elections for the select reps from the Senate districts.
Okay. All right. We've got him. Good morning. Can I be ready? About? It's not required to see the nomination from the floor. Yeah, that's good.
For national, for the delegates?
Would you like to tell them that?
Not really.
Okay. Yeah, all you need is the nomination. Let me announce you select reps. Yeah, you just need a nomination from the floor. Yes. Yes. Oh, I didn't get an email. Gotcha. I gotcha. Perfect. Well, I'm sorry about that. But all you need, everybody, whether you fill out the interest form or not, everybody needs the same process. All right.
Not necessarily, only if that's what they decide to do.
You have to be nominated.
And sometimes they nominate. Just to give information about it. Yep, Williams. Got it. We got it.
Let me finish this.
Yes, it's.
All right.
You're gonna have to sort it out. I still have.
So
I'm waiting on her to report though.
So select reps, if you could stand up when I say your name so everyone can see who you are. Senate District 1, Eric Van Sinkle. And Rudy Wright. SD2, Agatha Venters and Michelle Wigington. SD3, Desiree Lindsay and Wyatt Birkenhoff. SD4, Jesse Cowart and Scott Ford. SD5, Scott Talley and Jeff Miller. SD6, Aaron Ramos. SD7, Billy Pierce and Jody Cole. SD8, Paul Thompson, and unfortunately we had somebody who is not eligible. We've already discussed it with them, so they know. But congratulations, Paul. SD9, Daniel Bledsoe and Mark Strife. SD10, Trey Holcomb and Jocelyn Pankey. SD11, Bob Townsend and Amanda Gibbs. SD12, Elizabeth Miller and Mike Dooling. SD13, Hannah Kennedy and Jonathan Alvey. SD14, Ted Brown and Steve Haskett. SD15, Carol Unsicker, and unfortunately Drake is not eligible, but congratulations, Carol. SD16, Kevin Hale. And for the shortest service ever, Kyle Russell resigned after winning the vice chair. We thank you for your service to SLEC. What's that? So it's just Kevin. For those of you who don't know, there is a process for filling vacancies. If you're interested, I can point you in the right direction after today.
Read the rules.
Or Anna can, either way. SD17, Jacob Bradley and Janae LeBlanc. SD18, Andrea Milling and Patrick Mitchell. SD19, Paul Dar and Heidi Sobotik. SD20, Matthew Wallace. SD21, Nathan Garza and Nolan Schmidt. SD22, Renee Perez and Lex Green. SD23, Joe Roberts and Rudy Hernandez. Hold on 1 second, let me get SD's 24. SD24, Joe Burns and Jennifer McAfee. SD25, Stephanie Berlin and Darren Pollock. SD26, Carter Fanning. SD27, Frank Lozano and Nikki Brashear. SD28, Bernard Johnson and Michael Newman. SD29, Dan Marino. SD30, John Wilford and Noah Kirby. SD31, and I always like to mispronounce his last name, so Colby Micey. Sorry, always, and Jack Westbrook. Congratulations to the new SLEC.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, new SLEC members. According to the agenda, we will have our first SLEC meeting at the end of the convention proceedings. So whenever that gets done, please remember that we have a hard stop to get out of this room. Our contract ends at 6 o'clock. So
Say that again and louder for the folks in the back.
we have to be out of this room. Our contract ends at 6 o'clock for this room, and we still have to have a SLEC meeting after this. So
let's
just
get
bear
it
that in
done.
mind, and let's get this done. Thank you. All right.
No 20-minute discussions.
Yes,
for
yesterday
10
was
minutes.
fantastic. All right. The next order of business, and I just want to remind everyone that yesterday when we had some balloting experiences and we had settled on a particular balloting method using Opa Vote specifically for yesterday's elections. So I just want to point that out. We are now going to have to do elections for national delegates. So that is the next order of business.
I happen to have a motion.
We are 10 minutes early.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Wilford.
so I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules. Sorry, I am John Wilford from Denton County. I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules in order to consider for a very generous 3 minutes a minor correction to the rules report, which I have sent to the secretary.
Is that the one you already sent me?
Yes, it's a numbering correction.
And what's your county, Mr. Wilford?
Denton.
Thank you.
The nature of this correction is numbering, is that?
That is correct. There was a bylaw that was inserted into the wrong section, so it no longer makes sense when in that context of that section.
Okay, so we have a motion to suspend the rules. Are you wanting to bundle this, suspension of the rules, and go ahead and make that correction?
Yeah, I will go ahead and bundle it, and I'll read the motion.
Okay.
So the motion is move to amend Proposal 50, which for reference is the Judicial Committee proposal, of the Bylaws Committee report by inserting an I in front of V.D.5 order of business.
I got it. All right, we have a motion to make a correction to the rules report from yesterday. We would have to suspend the rules to do it. The maker of the motion is bundling the suspension of the rules along with the actual motion, which is a correction. It has been seconded. Is there any objection to suspending the rules and making that numbering correction? Hearing no objection, it's done. You didn't need 3 minutes. Thank you. Mr. Burns.
Joe Burns, Llano County. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the use of OPA for all contested races today, with balloting open for 20 minutes from the inception of the exception of this motion. Delegates may choose to receive a paper ballot as opposed to using OPA by notifying credentials.
Can you repeat with the 20 minutes?
I can't hear.
Repeat the motion
Okay.
so that she may take it down and then watch. You're going to put it on the screen.
It's on the screen
Okay.
now.
Repeat the motion.
I apologize for not bringing it to the secretary ahead of time. If you have a motion, it's always good to get it to the secretary ahead of time, unlike what I just did. I move that we all use OPA vote for all contested races today, and that, you ready? And that balloting remain open for 20 minutes from the start. From the right. Okay, I apologize. That balloting remain open for 20 minutes from the time the email of that ballot was sent out.
Is that correct, Joe?
Mr. White, as one of the operators of the OPA vote, is this doable?
This is quite doable. Just an explanation a little bit on what happened yesterday with the timing for OPA vote. We did not set a close time. So we spent time trying to track down people who had not voted, which is not a good use of the body's time. So by setting a hard limit, we avoid that delay. And if people have not received their email by 10, 15 minutes, they can go to credentials, and we can give them a paper ballot after the cutoff of it and allows more time for them to cast those paper ballots.
Thank you for the information, Mr. White. All right, we have a motion to use OPA vote for any contested races today, and that balloting will be open for 20 minutes from the time the ballots are sent out. It has been seconded. Is there any objection to this motion? Hearing no objection.
Point of information.
Yes, go ahead.
Brooke Bailey, Denton County. If we experience problems getting the email from the OPA vote yesterday, must we wait to receive a paper ballot, or could we just request that when the vote went out? Because I would like the full 20 minutes to cast my vote.
Yeah, I'm Joe White, Harris County. If you had an issue at all with email or have a concern at all with getting an email, you can speak with credentials and they will remove you from the email list and put you on the paper ballot list. And we will distribute those paper ballots up front for those who have requested the paper ballot. You can do that
Same process.
now. Yes, same as yesterday, yes.
Any
Request
Mr. Watts?
for information.
Mr.
Mr. Watts?
Also, Nathan Watts, Harris County. Joe, could you clarify? I think I heard you say that if someone has trouble if we've sent the email ballots out, and if someone isn't receiving it, were you saying that they have some way to get a paper ballot then? Could you explain how that works? Because otherwise, how can we confirm maybe that person did or will receive the email ballot, but then they also would have a paper ballot?
Right. So how that would work, if they have had a problem receiving the email for whatever reason, when we close the OPA voting, there is a list of emails that did not respond to the OPA vote. So we know that they have not voted in OPA vote. We don't know what any votes are. We just know that a vote has not been received from this email address. And so that list, those people could request a paper ballot instead.
Thank you.
I realize that there are transactions happening over here that are unrelated to our party business. I need that to be like as close to silent as possible, please. Thank you. So I want to clarify what the exchange that was just had here. What I'm hearing is if someone suspects or is having trouble with getting the email in OPA vote and their 20 minutes for balloting is already being eaten up at that point, or they anticipate that it will be, they can go to the credentials desk or to over here, have their name removed from the email list and become paper voters, but they won't actually get that ballot until after the email voting has closed so that we can verify that they didn't in fact already
No,
vote.
let me clarify. So if you have had an experience and heretofore not had getting the ballot, we request you go to credentials now so your name will not be on the email list.
Okay.
If you were fine yesterday and then for some reason today there's an issue, then you can come up and alert us, the credentials, that there is an issue. And then we will, at the close of balloting, we will close the OPA voting and we'll have a list of the email addresses that did not submit a vote. Those we could then issue a paper ballot to, and we could extend them some time to cast that paper ballot.
That's what I was getting to. So in order to avoid having someone submit it both electronically and on paper, you will not even issue the paper ballot until the electronic voting has closed.
If they have already elected to receive a paper ballot, like then their email address is not receiving an OPA vote, they can get one when we start the balloting immediately. But if they are on the email list but do not get the OPA vote email or have an issue submitting their vote, and just to clarify, when you submit your OPA vote, when you hit vote, it then gives you a summation page, which you then have to click on an acknowledgement again for it to actually be submitted to the system.
So you hit the vote button and then the confirm button.
Right. So, yes, but if you have some kind of issue with that, then you can come up and let us know. And then when the OPA voting closes after 20 minutes, we will have a list of those who did not cast an OPA vote by email address, and those we can issue a paper ballot to.
Right. So now that I understand that, it raises the point that now we're going beyond the 20-minute for balloting, because in that case, then there might be 1, 2, 3, 10 people who still need that 20 minutes to do their own balloting.
Then
So,
Mr.
I
Burns
just
will
need to
allow
make
me to
sure
make the
that
friendly amendment to just say adding additional 10 minutes on. Okay.
Yeah, there's-
Substitution amendment.
So 30 minutes instead of 20?
No, that's still 20 minutes still for the OPA voting, with an additional 10 for paper ballots after that are issued for those who had it.
I would, like 30 minutes for the open vote, because we're voting on 70.
I was going to mention that same thing.
There's a big balance.
If, Joe, if you could allow, is that I actually had language, if we could modify that to be electronic balloting remain open for 20 minutes?
30.
And then you can just do a comma and 10 minutes, and subsequently 10 minutes for paper balloting.
Additional 10.
That way we're not confused as to there's general.
Right. However long the body would like to have for the voting, we're happy to hand it. We're just trying to make things.
So in order to not go beyond whatever limits we're about to set, people need to be paying attention to their emails and making sure they're using their time for balloting if they're doing it on paper.
And we need to announce the close.
All right, so we've got an amendment.
Well, yes.
You have it? We have an amendment to Mr. Burns' original motion. It has been seconded.
It doesn't need to be if it came from me. Can we just consider it a friendly amendment?
There is no such thing as a friendly amendment.
Maybe not in the rules.
They're all offensive.
Touche.
All right, we have an amendment. The amendment is to add the stipulation for the 10 minutes for paper ballots in the event we have to do that for anyone. Is there any objection to that amendment? No. Hearing no objection, the main motion now is 20 minutes for the electronic balloting and 10 minutes for paper balloting if necessary. Is there any objection to that?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Wilford.
I rise with an amendment.
An unfriendly one.
Please.
Yes.
Enlighten us.
So my amendment is to take the 20 minutes and turn it to 30 minutes, and I can speak to this. I think we can get through it real quickly. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, point of order.
Mr. Westbrook.
Is an amendment to the amendment
Yes.
in order?
It is indeed.
Okay, thank you.
So you want to just move it to 30 minutes?
Is there a second? Second. Okay. So the reason I would like to change this to 30 minutes is not so much in the nature of how long it takes us to get a ballot, click a button, and return it. It's in the nature of how long it takes us to get a ballot, click over 100 names that we need to vet, each one, and then click submit. And if it takes 10 minutes, regular email delay for you to get your ballot, that leaves you 10 minutes to go through over 100 names. I think we need a little bit more time to consider this ballot.
Mr. Wilford, are you saying combine the 20 and the 10 into 30 minutes?
No,
Which part are you changing to 30 minutes?
I am changing the 20 minutes to 30 minutes.
Is this correct? So leave the paper balloting for another 10 minutes?
Yes, leave the paper balloting.
apologize.
Yeah.
I misheard you.
Okay.
And I would recommend, if anyone is having trouble and needs to go that paper ballot route, that they start looking at the list ahead of time so they can have their checks already ready.
The Secretary is making the adjustments to the proposed motion. All right, so we are now looking at a 30-minute balloting for electronic voting and then the additional 10 minutes for those who require paper ballot. Can you please come to the microphone and be recognized?
Oh my God, it is not
Point of information, I'm getting confused. It's an amendment to the amendment, so shouldn't you be asking for if there's an objection to his amendment to the amendment?
I'm getting there, sir.
Okay,
Thank you very much. All right. The Secretary has the amendment on the screen. The amendment being proposed is to change it to 30 minutes from 20 minutes. That's the only difference right now. It was seconded. It was seconded, Mr. Meising. Is there any objection to that amendment? Objection. We have an objection. Do you wish to speak any further to your amendment?
No, I don't want to belay the point. Let's get to a vote.
If you would like to speak to your objection, please come to the microphone. Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this motion? Okay, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the amendment of changing it from 20 to 30, raise your hand. All opposed? The motion passes. Okay, the main motion now. 30 minutes for electronic balloting, 10 minutes for the additional paper balloting if necessary. Any objection to this motion? Hearing none, it is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Madam Chair, point of personal privilege related to this information. So, go ahead.
Chair's privilege here. I'm having a hard time hearing when you speak. Your voice is very low.
That's the outcome.
Speak up while you're out there.
That's the first time in my life.
Like you talk to me on the phone.
Okay, that's the first time in my life I've ever been asked to speak up. Usually, you're too loud. Please quiet down. So, sorry. PTSD from 2018 New Orleans. So, mea culpa. So, folks, if you chose to do the paper balloting yesterday, we struck your email address from our list at credentials. So if you decide you want to try OPA for the first time or whatever, maybe you've got an email address that works now and you want to go email, but you went paper yesterday, you got to bring us an email address because we don't have your email address anymore. So again, only if you chose paper balloting yesterday and wish to do email today, bring us an email address.
Thank you. All right. Now, hopefully, we are starting nominations for delegates and alternates to the National Convention.
Point of information.
Mr. Perez?
Otilio Rene Perez Jr., Tarrant County. The information from my national delegate interest form is incorrect. It shows unsure for all of the yes/no questions. I have accommodations. I've got the registration, and I'll be taking part in the extra day of the certification.
Okay, thank you. I need to clarify something for the body. There is really no such thing as point of information. If you are needing information, it is a request for information, and you still need to be in line and recognized in the order of other people. Points of order are the only things that can be interrupting. So, and that is related to how we're actually conducting business. So we didn't have too much issue with that yesterday, but I want to make it clear that coming to tell us things is not necessarily in order. So, but thank you, Mr. Perez. I'm sure that is the case for many people who filled out that form. Yes, ma'am.
Request for information. This is Michelle Shea of Brazoria County.
I need order in the room. There's too much conversation around the room, and I can't hear the speakers.
The current amendment has paper balloting at 10 minutes, which is 6 seconds per person's name for over 100 names. Is that correct?
Well, the first thing is that it's no longer an amendment. This is actually the motion and the procedure that we've adopted for today.
Okay.
The 10 minutes doesn't mean that you start reviewing the nominees at that point. You can be reviewing the nominees in advance and creating your own list of people that you would be voting for or against in advance of winding up with the paper ballot. So, what's that? Yeah, you'll actually wind up with 40 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Request for information.
Mr. Watts?
Nathan Watts, Harris County. This is a request for information from the delegation leaders. If needed, especially if you have any alternates or people who are not here, please come to our table and tell us who is actually seated in your delegation so that we will be prepared to give the correct list of people who will be voting. So, thank you.
All right. We are opening nominations for national delegate and alternates.
And please help me with your names and spelling. If I get it wrong, correct me, because there's a lot of you, and speak slowly.
Mr. Russell.
Yes, Kyle Russell, Dallas County. I'd like to nominate the following people.
Are you ready?
Ready? I can send you the list once I'm done too. Okay.
Do that with this too.
Yes, name them.
Yes, Arthur Thomas, Thomas Riley, Kathleen Stokes, Stanton Stokes, Mike Dooling, Kevin Hale, Curry Taylor, myself, Kyle Russell, Brooke Bailey, John Wilford, Benjamin Farmer, Christopher Clements, John Hom, Darren Pollock, Paul Bilyeu, Whitney Bilyeu, Amanda Gibbs, Billy Pierce.
Hold on.
Sorry.
He's getting on the roll.
You're getting excited, sir. Okay, here's... go ahead.
I didn't scroll down anyway. Billy, Carol Unsicker. She rescinds. Okay. She does not accept.
She does not accept, okay?
Nathan Watts, Desiree Lindsay, James Tyler Lindsay, Nathan Moxley, Connor Cudmore, Teresa Rushing. Okay. Sean Sparkman.
S-H-A-W-N or S-E-A-N?
S-E-A, yeah.
And what's the last name?
Sparkman.
Thank you.
Edwin Zimmerman, Doug Kroll, Pat Dixon. It says Edwin. I think Bo is not his legal name. Or it's the same person? Okay. So Pat Dixon, Aaron Goss, William Kelsey. Oh, here's Bo Zimmerman. Okay. Deanne Welch, Kenneth Welch.
Hold on, Ken, I didn't hear anything out of it.
Sorry, which was the last one? Okay.
After Bill Kelsey, did you name Bo Zimmerman?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So Deanne Welch, Kenneth Welch, Jeff Miller,
Please keep the noise down in the room.
Robert Broadfoot,
Robert what?
Broadfoot, Stephen Decker, Michael Farmer,
Michael
Farmer.
Farmer.
Real quickly, I think there's a spelling. I think Aaron Ross is Aaron Goss.
Goss.
Oh, Goss, yes.
Sorry. I need to get my ears checked. Go ahead.
I guess I should look at the screen here.
Michael Farmer was the last
Michael
one.
Farmer, Paul Thompson, Marshall Bierwinkle, Joanna Jurgens,
What's that?
Joanna Jurgens.
Joanna Jurgens.
David Marino, Michael Miller, Robert Fredericks,
Robert Fredericks.
yes,
That?
yes, and then Catherine Prather, Kate Prather, sorry. Sergio Garcia, Kevin Hagan.
Kevin Hagan.
I'm sorry.
Hagan.
Give me a second. Kevin what?
Hagan.
Hayden, H-A.
Hagan.
Okay, let me fix a misspelling here real quick.
Oh.
Oh, it's... I got it, sir. Thank you. Okay, continue.
I have like a list of
Kevin Hagan was the last one we heard.
Of 70 people. Yeah. Jesse Cowart. Cowart. Cynthia Welch. Daniel Kugo. Okay.
Can you spell that for me?
Keoughh.
Thank you.
Roger Northup.
Roger
Northup.
Donovan Patanky.
Donovan. D-O-N-A.
And then Jocelyn. Same last name. Ted Brown. Mary Haskett.
What's that?
Mary
Haskett. Stephen Haskett. Jeffrey Neal.
I need order in the room, please. I know that this is taking a while and everyone's getting excited. Please be patient. Thank you.
John Robertson. Ginny Moore. Megan Garlington.
Nathan what?
Maeghan.
You said that way too fast.
Maeghan. First name.
Oh.
Wait.
Megan.
So,
Megan, not Nick.
Megan.
Okay.
And then and the last name is Garlington.
Garlington.
Yes.
Arlington.
Trey Holcomb. Eric Van Single. Selena Van Single.
Is it a C?
Salina. Phil Kurtz. Vicky Kurtz. Crystal Bender.
Crystal what?
Bender.
Yeah, we'll start with the K. Krystle.
Like that?
Yep, I'm almost done.
Thank you.
Renee Perez.
What was Crystal's last name?
Bender.
Oh, Bender.
What?
Bender.
Bender. Thank you. Go ahead.
Renee Perez, James Cook, and Neil Dykeman. And I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
But-
Russell.
Oh. No, oh, sorry, Andrew Ameling, sorry. You're not on here? I thought you were at the top. So, Andrew Ameling. Okay, Phil Gray. Okay, and that's my
All right.
list. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Mr. Wilford?
Madam Chair, I rise to make a motion,
Okay.
which I have just now sent to the secretary, but I will read it aloud via Discord if she's looking.
Oh, hold on. Let me share my screen.
Okay. Do you want me to start reading or wait till it's up to start reading?
Give me 20 seconds.
Point of personal privilege. It's loud as shit in here.
Yes, please. I know that everybody is eager to get this done, and it is going to take some time, so please be patient and have your conversation silently in your head. Thank you. Technical difficulties. One moment.
We've all been there.
Sorry about that.
I'm getting a headspace meditation alert. Everyone should go ahead and try that. That's a good time for square breathing. What's up?
I will fix the.
Just let me know when you're ready for John.
Okay, are you ready for me to read it? Denton County. Okay, so I move to select alternates and delegates with one ballot by ranking all persons who attained a majority in ascending order. First by the highest to lowest number of for votes, and then by the lowest to highest number of against votes in the case of ties. And any delegate ranked above the number of delegate slots available will become alternates until the alternate slots are exhausted.
Second.
And that language is on the screen.
That's fine.
It was seconded.
Seconded, Billy Pierce, Harris
I
County.
did not memorize it, and I can't see the screen, so hopefully all of you can.
Good
Is
motion.
there any objection to this motion? I hear objection. Mr. Wilford, can you speak to your motion, please?
Yeah, so the intent of the motion is that instead of nominating and voting first on delegates and doing a whole ballot for that, and then finding out who's a delegate, and turning around and doing the same process all over for alternates, that we would instead take one ballot and find everybody who attained a majority. You have to attain a majority to get there. And we would put them in an order. We have a mechanism for ordering them. We will do it first by the number of for votes, and then where a tie occurs, we will rank those by the number of against votes. Once we have that order of people, the top people go in the delegate slots, the remaining people go in alternate slots. If somehow we have enough people who attain a majority to exhaust all those slots, that's the cutoff line, and we can do this in one ballot.
I'll withdraw my objection. If you could, that sounded great. That's not really what's up here. So think of a couple words we could add to your amendment to discuss the against vote. So anyone that receives, my point is anyone that receives more against than for shouldn't be part of this listing. So when you said majority, is that what you're...
Yes, that already handles that. So I'm going to get into a little bit of nuance here. It is mathematically impossible to both get a majority and get more against votes than for. So that majority
Okay.
bit
All right. So I
handles
withdraw
that.
my objection.
So,
The gentleman's objection has been withdrawn. Are there any other objections to this motion? Hearing no objections, it is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Wilbur.
So what was the question?
That. It didn't change at all. Sweet biscuits.
I like how we're doing this.
All right.
Quick request for information. Billy Pierce, Harris County. Does the current list reflect all of the persons who have filled out an interest form?
No idea.
No, it does not. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I'd like to nominate Aaron Ramos and Stefan Kinsella. Thank you.
Mr. Van Siegel, is someone seeking to be recognized over here? I'm alternating now.
Yes, Eric Van Single, Wood County.
I need order in the room, please.
And I'm hearing a lot of talk in the body about where they can find the people who have submitted interest in being a national delegate. And also, this is a request for information. Where can we find the list? And can the secretary or chair just clarify that that is not a nomination? We're nominating from the floor today.
That is correct. The interest form was exactly that. It was an interest form. It was not a nomination. It did not equate to an automatic nomination. So I think that's the point that you want to clarify. As far as where that information can be found, Stephanie, the secretary is finding the link for you, and hopefully you can follow.
Thank you.
Which one?
Okay.
So convention website, which should be easy to find.
There you go.
All right.
Well, it sounded
Microphone
like for example.
one.
I don't know if I got this right, but point of...
All right, guys. Side conversations, please cease at this point. Yes.
I don't know if this is the right term, but point of personal privilege. I believe you spelled Connor Cudmore's name incorrectly.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yeah, Ted Brown from Travis County. Question and, okay, a couple of things. First of all, when Mr. Russell was nominating all those people, it seemed to me that must have been the list from the inquiry forms, because, like, for example, I was on that list, and so were a number of people from my county. So I'm kind of not clear where he got those names from, unless it was just going down the list of people from
Mr.
the
Brown,
inquiry
would you like to
forms.
nominate additional people?
Yes, but I wanted
Okay.
to know whether, I don't know whether we missed anybody that put in the nomination form or not, because if they signed up online, I would like to nominate everyone that signed an inquiry form, along with from Travis County, Nancy Neal and Clark Patterson, who did not apparently.
So we are adding Nancy Neal and Clark Patterson to the list.
Right, and I wanted to make sure that everybody that put in the inquiry form was also nominated. It looked like from that long list, that must have been where those names came from, but I'm just not sure.
Mr. Brown, are you putting into nomination everyone who submitted an interest form?
Yes, yes.
Point of order. Point of order.
Mr. Wolford, point of order.
So my point of order is that in Robert's rules, and the parliamentarian can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you can only nominate as many people as there are slots available to be filled. And I don't know that the entire list of people who submitted is under that threshold.
It is.
Way under. Especially given the way we're doing it.
for total
Yes.
number.
Your point of order is well taken. I do not know how many names are on that list, but I suspect that it is over 100. So you're correct. Adding the list as a whole would be problematic and out of order.
So
There are 130 on the list. Now, I will note that some of the people on that list are already in nomination at this point.
So,
I need to go to the smartphone now. Mr. Goldston?
I'm not on that list. This is James Goldston, Denton County, and I guess I'm here to modestly nominate myself.
Okay.
Thank you.
I did.
Point of personal privilege, Stefan Kinsella is A-N, not E-N.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
So I would like to nominate everyone who filled out an interest form who has not previously been nominated. I suspect that is now under 100 names if done that way.
That would be correct. But who is I nominated?
That is
Carter Fanning, Bear County, sorry.
Mr. Fanning, would it be possible for you to name those people?
I mean, I can pull up the list and go through it if you would like, but I believe the secretary already has said.
That is correct, but she would also have to take the time to do it.
Okay.
And then we'd all have to just sit here quietly like weirdos for a little while. So,
Okay.
I guess either way, it's just going to take some time and
Hang tight. I will pull up said list. It's available online.
Can we see the list of names already nominated?
Sure. There's a very long list, so I will scroll.
yeah, she can. The list is up there. She can kind of scroll slowly. Yeah, back and forth. Okay, so. Should have done the list. All right, we need silence in the room. Mr. Fanning is about to say some names.
There was less than 100.
I can probably tell you when I hear them if they're already on there.
That's why we voted.
2 seconds, I apologize.
That's okay. This is always a long process. We're getting better at it though.
All right, Andrew M. Lang I saw was added
He's on.
previously.
Yes.
Jenny Moore,
Correct.
Jacob Bradley,
I'm sorry.
All right. I need silence in the room. Jacob Bradley. Not there.
He's not there.
Jaden Toon,
One second. Jacob Bradley.
All right.
Go ahead.
Patrick Mitchell,
Jaden Toon, T-O-N-E.
Patrick Mitchell, I think, has already been nominated. We'll put him on there just in case.
ready for the next?
Who?
Noah Kirby,
Noah Kirby.
Thank you. Carter, your voice is really low. Can you enunciate just a little bit?
I'm so sorry.
It's just fine.
Noah Kirby.
K-E-R-B-Y.
Thank you.
How do you say that last name? Okay. Scott Peterson, excuse me. Rudy Hernandez. Greg Race.
What is it?
Greg?
Yeah, Gregrace.
R-A-C-E.
Greg R.A.C.
I believe Donovan has already been nominated, correct?
Donovan?
Yes.
He has.
Okay. Bo Zimmerman.
He has.
Okay. Jocelyn Donovan's
Also,
wife?
yes.
Okay, sorry. Dylan Kaler.
Who? Say that one again. Dylan Kaler.
Caylor.
Taylor. C-A-Y-L-O-R.
C-A-Y-L-O-R.
How do you say her last name?
Dylan.
Michelle Shee. X-I-E.
Michelle.
X-I-E for the last name.
Is that she? Yes. Is it pronounced she? Thank you.
Okay. Stephen Decker.
P-H or E?
P-H. Christopher Heeken, H-E-E, or his last name's H-E-E-N-K.
Christopher with a K and H-E-E-N-K. K-R-I.
Michael Smith.
And H-E-E-N-K-E? For
2 seconds. H-E-E-N-K.
N-K. Got it. Thank you.
Michael Smith. Robert Fredericks. Jeb Dupree. Also, it's Rudy, not Ruby, on the board. Hernandez. My bad.
Apologies.
Got it.
Okay. How do you say his last name? Steve. All right, Steve Rivette. Thomas Riley Jr. Jeffrey Venters.
Is it?
How do you spell Jeffrey?
Jeffrey. Agatha Venters. Paul Thomas. How do you say that? Okay.
Paulus?
No. Joshua Luke Troxel. Christopher Baker. Paul Thompson, I'm sorry. I may have misspoke on that.
Okay.
What's that?
Paul Thompson?
Is that instead of Thomas?
Yeah, 2 L's and 1 X.
Yes.
It's Joshua.
Paul Thompson instead of Paul Thomas.
Yes.
Well, there's the Troxel.
And it's Joshua Luke Troxel.
Oh.
And last name is misspelled.
Yeah. I like to misspell his name too all the time. Go ahead.
Christopher Baker.
Got that one.
Colby Micey.
Whoop, whoop.
William Kelsey.
Mr. Kelsey is in nomination already.
Okay. Jeremy Nolan. Michael Farmer.
Michael
Michael Farmer already is in nomination
Okay.
as well.
Sergio Garcia.
Also.
Sean Jones.
Is it H-E-A-S-E-A-N or S-A?
S-H-A-W-N.
And what was the last name?
Jones.
Matthew Wallace. Jaime Diaz. John Robertson. Daniel Durant.
It's Danielle.
Danielle, excuse me.
Danielle Durant.
Thank you.
Danielle Durant, not Daniel.
Right. Arthur Thomas.
He's in.
He is in.
Edwin Zimmerman.
Also.
Scott Horton. Pat Dixon.
He's in.
Kevin Hill, Billy Pierce, I'm guessing those are already in as well. Eric Van Single. Samantha Van Single. Selena, sorry.
Lena.
And my messages jumped.
Almost there, folks. Thank you for your
I'm so
patience.
sorry, guys. You've got the list, just read them off. What do we got? Okay. Joe Burns, I believe, has already been nominated, correct?
Was he?
He was not.
If not, I would like to nominate him. Okay. Huh? Okay. Nathan Kinman.
You cut out there. Was it
Nathan Kinman.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you get Joe?
Darren Pollock. Oh, and it's Nolan with an E. I'm sorry.
Darren's in.
I'm sorry, what?
Jeremy Nolan.
And
Nolen.
Darren Pollock is already in. He should be up there. He's in there. We already had Darren Pollock, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Joanna Jorgensen.
Anna Jurgens, I believe, was already.
Okay.
Double checking. Yes. Okay.
David Marino.
Already on. Marino.
Okay. J.R. Hasselhoff.
What's that? J.R. Hasselhoff.
How do you say his last name? Clinton Polar.
What? Did you say Brittany?
Clinton.
Clinton.
Yeah, Polar. Excuse me.
Clinton Polar. P-O-H-L-E-R. Or
P-O-H.
Brad Lammy.
Brad Lammy. L-A-M-M-I.
Can you say it one more time?
Brad
Janae
L-A-M-M-I.
Janae
LeBlanc. Excuse me.
I know I just misspelled Janae's last name.
Scott wanted to add Mike Doyle to the list.
Mike
one we got was
Doyle.
Janae.
Yeah. Mike Doyle.
Mike Doyle. D-O-Y-L-E.
Hannah Kennedy. Miranda Holcomb, excuse
Holcomb.
me.
Amanda.
It's Amanda. I'm being told.
We got it.
Is there anyone else?
Like that?
Seth Martinez. Or Seth Martin, excuse me. So sorry.
Okay. Seth Martin was the last one we have.
That's the last one I may have. Okay.
While they're looking, I have a request for information.
Mr. Billiard.
Paul Billieu, Harris County. Something Mr. Wilford brought up earlier, he said that we could only nominate as many people as there are positions available. Did I hear that correctly?
An individual nominator can only nominate up to that number.
I see. So an individual nominator can only nominate up to the 77 positions,
Whatever the number is. What is it?
or 73, whatever it is.
Yeah, 73.
Okay,
Yes, that is
thank you.
correct. Not in total, but each person nominating can make up to that many. Mr. Fanning, do you have anything for us?
Brad Lammy is spelled wrong. There should be no O at the end, I'm being told.
Brad who?
There should be no what?
There should be no O at the end. Yes. And then Hannah Kennedy, not Anna. I'm sorry.
Hannah.
Yes. And it's also John Robertson, not Robertson.
I don't know if yours matters, but my name only has
All
one
right,
T.
Seth Martin is still the last one that I heard from you.
Okay. Are we going to have a chance to correct names?
We can do that. We'll look
Okay.
at the list for duplicates just in case as well. And if anybody knows that their name is misspelled, we can correct
Okay, cool. I've got just a few.
Oh, I need order. We are still going through nominations. We still need to be heard. The secretary still needs to hear. Please stay silent.
Andrew Holenstein.
Andrew.
Hohenstein for the last name. Megan Thompson.
Spell Megan.
Meggan.
Thompson with a P?
Yes.
And I've got two more.
Yes. Megan. Meggan Thompson.
With two N's?
They said two G's, one N.
Okay.
Matthew Hause, Hause. And how do you say Francis?
Hause.
And it was Matthew?
Yeah.
And then Francisca Haas. And I believe I'm approaching my limit, so.
Thank you.
Francesca.
Francesca.
H-A-U-S. All right, thank you.
I'm Matthew Wallace, Nueces County, seeking clarification on the number of people seeking clarification on the number of people one can nominate, given that there will be 148 potential positions here as we're doing delegates and alternates at the same time. Just wanted some clarification on that.
Did you hear that? So,
Yeah, you can do 100.
The max.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
Look, she had to go to parliamentarian. You know that's a good question.
Your point is well taken. Thank you. However, I certainly don't recommend that because I'm not sure that we have that many people even that.
I just want to make sure
they're probably all on the list, but thank you.
I just want to make sure the work we did wasn't just wasted and it gets thrown out.
Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, individually, each person has a limit. There's no limit on how many can be nominated in total, but each person nominating has a limit. So, and we don't want to duplicate. So, Ms. Bailey.
I have two things. First, a request for information. If your name is misspelled on the ballot, will that in any way invalidate your nomination?
I see no reason for it to, as long as we all know who that person is and they know who they are. I do not foresee that being a problem, but if someone is adamant about having their name spelled correctly, they need to make sure that it is.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to nominate.
Who is I?
Brooke Bailey.
Apologies, Brooke Bailey, Denton County. Would like to nominate Bob Townsend.
Yeah. Oh, that was
Dwayne Hammond.
Who?
And Eric Espinoza.
Okay, give me 1 second. Bob Townsend.
Dwayne Hammond.
Dwayne?
I'm sorry, my accent's coming through. Dwayne.
Can you spell all of these? Can you spell?
Yes, D-U-A-N-E.
Right.
Hammond.
Can you write these down?
I'm trying to. H-A.
M-M-O-N.
H-A-M-M-O-N. Thank you.
A-N. Sorry,
A-N,
apologies.
Thank you. Eric Espinosa.
With a Z.
How do I spell that second name? Thank you.
All right.
That's all, thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
Kevin Hale, Dallas County. That's right. I would like to make two nominations, Jack Westbrook and Elizabeth Miller, please.
And who?
Elizabeth Miller.
Elizabeth
Jack
Miller.
Westbrook. Elizabeth Miller. Mr. Neal.
Jeffrey Neal, Travis County. I'm kind of ashamed to bring the point that the woman who served as my secretary when I was state chair misspelled my first name.
Sorry, Jeff. You have a very exotic name, Mr.
Oh, yes. It is Geoffrey, not O-R-Y. Thank you.
Is that correct, Jeff?
Geoff.
I'll fix it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, he was nominated early on.
David Marino, El Paso. I would like to nominate Brady Garland and LP Texas lifetime member Bill Collins.
All right, Bill Collins, and can you repeat the first name?
Brady Garland.
Brady Garland.
Garland.
Who is, sorry, I was fixing a name.
That's okay. Bill Collins.
Who's Marino?
David Marino.
Sorry.
Did it again.
Brady. Sorry.
Just as many Super Bowl rings, though.
Yeah. Brady Garland and Bill Collins.
Probably.
Rene Perez, Tarrant County. I would like to nominate Eric Guerra, our prior political director,
Eric Guerra.
and Mayor Shannon Thompson.
Who did you nominate?
Eric Garza?
Yeah, he just
Eric
asked.
Guerra?
Yeah, he just asked me.
Kyle Russell, Dallas County. I make the motion to close nominations for delegates and alternates to the National Convention.
We have a motion to close nominations. We have a second. Is there any objection to closing nominations? Objection. All right, there is an objection. Okay, to close nominations requires a 2/3 vote. We won't argue about it. We'll just proceed to the vote. All in favor of closing nominations at this time, raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, the motion fails. Nice try.
Arthur DiBianca. Arthur DiBianca from Travis with a possibly important parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. DiBianca, go ahead.
Is it the chair's understanding under the voting procedure motion that we adopted, as an example, if we cast 200 ballots and a particular nominee is voted for on 40 of those 200 ballots, will that qualify as a majority under the motion? 44 votes, 0 against votes out of 200 ballots. Will that qualify as a majority under the motion?
If I can speak to this, it would be my understanding, and maybe the parliamentarian can tell me if it's their understanding, if there is a particular person for which no box is checked, no, it's a single ballot, so no, that wouldn't. It's a one ballot with all the names, so it's still a ballot for that person.
Further parliamentary inquiry. I want to clarify if it's the chair's understanding that if a candidate receives less than a majority of the total number of ballots cast, that candidate cannot be elected as either a delegate or an alternate. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Kenneth Welch, Blanco County. Deanne Welch's name has an E on the backside of the Deanne. Should be capital D apostrophe, capital A, N-N-E. You got it. Thank you.
I should have known. Thank you.
Becca Congdon, Bear County. I'd like to nominate Paul Darr, D-A-R-R.
On back up. Let me get to the bottom.
Hold, please.
No problem. And just a couple, I wasn't sure if I heard John Spivey, Chris Clements, and can you confirm if Whitney Bilyeu was nominated? Okay, thank you.
She was not actually.
I nominated her.
Yes. Oh, Russell did. Clements. E-N-C-E?
Yes, that's correct.
Microphone 1.
Sean Sparkman, Tarrant County. I'd like to nominate Anna Sparkman, A-N-N-A, and that's S-E-A-N, the correct spelling.
Oh, sorry.
2 N's in Anna, like frozen.
Eric Van Single, Wood County. I was reading the lines earlier. I'll try. I motion to close nominations.
There has been a motion to close nominations. It has been seconded. Is there any objection to closing nominations at this time?
Objection.
There is objection. We will proceed to a vote on closing nominations. Requires a 2/3 vote to close. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Does not pass. Not yet. Mr. Ford.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that the number of candidates for these positions not to exceed the number of seated delegates currently, which is 200 and something.
Are you?
The motion is that the number of nominations for nationals not to exceed the number of seated delegates currently in this
In
body.
other words, no more than.
Let's keep it under 200, yes?
Correct.
Yes. And I believe Nathan has the numbers in just a second.
It's not currently a numbered list, so we would need a number so that we can know whether or not we're meeting this. Okay, there's been a motion to limit the nomination list to the number of seated delegates we currently have.
Which is 200 something.
That number last I heard was 219. So Mr. Ford is proposing that we limit the nomination list also to 219. Right. There's a question as to whether or not that is in order, because we don't limit the nominations in our bylaws, and neither does Robert's rules. Working on it, Mr. Dykeman. Thank you. So I'm going to rule that out of order. Thank you.
I'm just doing nomination.
Mike?
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Wilford.
So the question has been raised to me multiple times, so I want to ask for the benefit of those delegates. There is concern in the body that with the majority requirement that we will have very small number of delegates. I don't necessarily share that, but it's there. So my question is, if we finish this balloting procedure and we only nominate 20 people, some small number, would it be possible if the body wished to additionally elect people from the list of votes in the order instead of a balloting procedure as a secondary election to fill more spots?
Are you asking me or are you asking them?
I'm asking for your ruling on that.
On whether or not we could have a secondary vote?
Yes, and fill more spots after this ballot is complete if we wanted to.
If that is what someone from the body moved, I don't see why we could not do that.
It would not be out of order to do that.
I would have to consult the rule about whether or not, if this is a hard rule that you have to have a majority to be elected, then it would require a 2/3 vote to
Correct, a suspension of the rules.
Yes, so I'll have to look into that, but that is an option at worst case scenario, yes. Yes.
Who's next?
Mr. Huckabee.
Sean Huckabee, Bexar County. I would like to nominate Stephanie Berlin.
You have not. Okay, thank you. Mr. Russell.
I'd like to make the motion to close nominations.
Object. We already have an objection. We did not. So, moving on. Mr. Thomas.
Is it possible, do you have it written somewhere that I can look at the motion that was previously made about the, I have a suspicion that it might have been out of order.
I need order in the room. Mr. Thomas, which motion are you trying?
The motion we originally made about on the election of these delegates.
By Wilford.
The motion that John Wilford, that one.
In your interpretation, is that would require a majority?
I can't see it.
Oh, okay.
Give me a minute. What part of it are you saying is...
Well, is your interpretation that majority applies to alternates and delegates?
If by plain letter of the motion, it would appear so. And Mr. Wilford's explanation, I don't believe that was his intention, however. So,
well, I think I need to confirm with our bylaws. I need time to look at them. But I think delegates have a majority requirement. Those follow normal. But alternates have an exception to the majority requirement.
That is the way I understand it as well.
Okay, so is that your, as the chair of this convention, is that your interpretation of this motion?
Mr. Wilford, as the maker of this motion and what I understood you to explain when you gave your justification for it, that is what I understand, that the majority part does not apply to the alternates.
I understand that as well.
Mr. Watts.
Nathan Watts, Harris County. This is I
guess, a motion or request that before we begin balloting, that we take a roll call in the room, which the Credentials Committee believes will be necessary to verify who's actually here and who would receive a ballot. While many delegation leaders have informed us of people who are not here, we've realized if someone's not here and no one else from their county is here to inform us, the only way we can think of to make note of that is to perform a complete roll call before balloting is actually performed.
Yes, that, your point is well taken. Before we ballot, we will be doing a roll call.
Thank you.
If there are people on this premises who intend to cast a ballot, electronically or otherwise, they must be present. So we will need to round people up and have a roll call before we send ballots out.
Thank you. When we're ready for that, I'll come up to collaborate for how we do
Signal when you're ready.
Thank you.
So I'd like to request a ruling of the chair. Is the motion by Mr. Wilford in order? And if so, does it mean that alternates will also have to receive a majority vote?
What I just said a few minutes ago, the way it was written, it is slightly confusing, but what I just ruled is that the majority requirement does not apply to alternates.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Sean Sparkman, Tarrant County again. Please forgive my ignorance for a second, but is this a request for information or possibly a motion? Would it be possible to have the list available as we're nominating people?
That is an intention, for sure. Yes, we'll make sure that there is a list. In the past, obviously, we have limited real estate on these screens, so we'll get as many as we can up there. We're not going to be able to hand people lists, but we'll try to figure out a way to make sure that everyone has access to that list.
Oh.
Madam Secretary, I need your attention. The request has been made that we have the list of nominees available during balloting.
Well, I mean, as soon as possible, before even balloting starts, since it is quite a long list.
So I have to put a list together for the ballot as it is. I can make that available.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Mr. Hale.
Kevin Hale, Dallas County. Wish to close the nominations, please.
We have another motion to close nominations, and it has been seconded and cheered for. Is there any objection to closing nominations at this time? Hearing no objection, nominations are closed. You did it, guys. All right. So at this point, we will have the essentially 40 minutes for balloting once the ballots are sent out. So at any moment now, we're going to have to do the roll call, as I understand it, so that we can start distributing ballots.
Madam Chair.
Please get your delegations together.
I move to suspend the rules for one nominee. Okay.
1 second. What?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Kate Prather, Franklin County. I move to suspend the rules for one nominee, Kevin Hale.
He's already been nominated.
To be, no, hold on, you'll get there. Traditionally, he has, in the past 2 conventions, been the #1 elected delegate to national. I would like to see that tradition continue. So for the one nominee of Kevin Hale, I would like to go ahead and elect him as our first delegate to national.
Kate, do I have that correct?
Yes.
Madam Chair, just a point of order. The bylaws specify that the ballot has to be by secret ballot for this multi-seat balloting. So a motion to nominate by acclamation, I believe, is not in order at this time.
Madam Chair?
We'll take it, Mr. Wilford.
Point of parliamentary inquiry. Since she moved it as a suspension of the rules, would that rule be suspendable?
Yes.
The one about secret ballot?
Yes.
Yes, as long as you're not electing officers, you can suspend that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I would say that if this can pass the 2/3 majority threshold, I would ask that we suspend the rules as she asked.
Ms. Prather,
Yes.
is your motion to suspend the rule, which requires a 2/3 vote, and at the same time elect Kevin Hale, or vote to elect Kevin Hale as delegate number 1?
I believe this body would be happy with that. So, yeah, that's my intention.
So it will require a 2/3 vote to suspend the rule that requires us to do secret ballots for the sole purpose of voting on whether or not Kevin Hale should be delegate number 1. Was it seconded? Is there any objection to suspending the rules to elect Kevin Hale right now without secret ballot as delegate number 1?
Is that all in one?
Is there objection? There is objection.
That's all in one motion?
Yes. There is objection. Do you need to speak any further to your motion? I hear anyone wishing to speak against. I know there's objection. All right, so we will first vote. Mr. Wilford?
I was just going to raise the point that's undebatable, but I see no one's coming.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, so all in favor of suspending the rules to elect Kevin Hale as delegate number 1, raise your hand. And again, this requires 2/3. All opposed, raise your hands. The motion passes. Kevin Hale has been named delegate number 1. That is one fewer votes that you have to worry about and one fewer names you have to look at on your list now. So congratulations, y'all. One name fewer.
Oh, what I will do is I'll just make a short link and then you can put it on my phone. Okay. That's fine. That's what I'm going to do.
Mr. Watts or a representative from the Credentials Committee. The roll call, you're not ready for it yet, right? You are ready for it? Okay. Okay, so I think the secretary is going to be tied up trying to make the ballot list. Right. So do we want to go by county in alphabetical order? What do you propose? That'll be fine. Perfect. All right. Whichever ones you want. Are these mics on?
Madam Chair.
All right, so Mr. Burns and Mr. Watts are going to conduct the roll call, so please listen. You must be present at this time to get a ballot. Mr. Wilford.
I wish to make a motion if this is an appropriate time to do it.
Test, test.
Is it going to mess up what they're going to do?
I don't think so.
Okay.
My motion is just that when listed on the ballot, that people be listed in the order nominated.
Okay. Did you catch that? Ballot, when you make it, be listed in the order.
I was just going to...
Is that not how we normally do it?
It could be. It could be in alphabetical. It's kind of up to you unless we tell you how.
Okay. So request for information to draft the ballot, put the ballot out in the order of nominations.
Request for information.
Mr. Garza?
Did you know that Arthur has a question?
I do, and he was going to be after him.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilford, I need order in the room.
Was there a motion made?
No. Yes, Mr. Wilford made one, and it was to create the ballots in the order of nominations. To have the list of nominees in the order they were nominated.
If you don't hear me respond, call on me again.
Is that correct, John?
And if you're still
To list the nominees on the ballot. No, before ballot. So move to list the nominees on the ballot. Perfect.
Request for information.
Was there a second?
Do you need anything else? No. Was that your thing?
Request for
So we have a
information.
motion on the floor to
move to list the nominees on the ballot in the order of nomination.
Was seconded?
Yeah.
All right. Is there any objection to that motion?
Objection. Request for
I
information.
hear objection. Mr. Ford.
This is a logistical question. If we do it in that order, is there a way to make sure we don't have repeat names? I know if you do it alphabetically, you can visually check it. Is this going to a spreadsheet or something like that where you can double check for duplicates?
Yes, but it will, if I redo it like that, it will be difficult to put them back in the order in which they were nominated.
Okay, but can
He
with the
just
Excel
wants to make
spreadsheet,
sure
you can
that
also
we
check for
still-
duplicates.
Yeah, he just wants
So
to make
just
sure we
so
can
you
do
can
it.
see what I'm doing, the way the balloting is working right now for OPA is I'm putting all the nominees in this Google Sheet.
Okay.
And then they feed that Google Sheet into OPA. This is the same sheet I'll make available for everybody to see while that's going on.
Right, I just want, the question is, yeah, go for it.
Once the secretary gets the list to us to create the OPA vote ballot and the paper ballots, before those are created, we can save that. We can then run a check, order it by name, make sure there are no duplicates, then put it back in the orders, go back to the original one and strike the duplicates just because we know where they are. We'll have a numbering. So yes, it can be done. Yes, it's cool.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
All right, there was objection to the motion. The motion was to print the ballots or to send out the ballots with the names in the order they were nominated. There has been objection to that.
Yeah, so to quickly speak to my motion, and I'm hoping whether it passes or not that we can get through it quickly because we have a lot to do today. It has been my experience in the many conventions that I've been to that there is a phenomenon, I'll call it voter fatigue, where by the time people get to the end of the ballot, they are paying less attention and people are getting less votes. It happens every time. If we did an order like alphabetical, people would be subject to that voter fatigue by a circumstance of their birth, nothing they controlled. And I'm saying let's do it in the order of nomination for people who were prepared and went up there with names to be at the top. That is my...
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak?
Yeah, can I speak to it?
Is there a way to randomize?
I think I'd prefer this to be listed alphabetically like a normal list because I don't think I'm tired as an excuse, and we have 70 some odd names, 74 out of 100 and some odd people to get through in 30 minutes, realistically 10 to 20. I want to be able to find who I'm looking for pretty quick.
Michelle Shea, Brazoria County. I have an objection to listing in the order of the first nominations. The reasoning for the initial list, which was impartial to the National Convention Inquiry Form, was not clear to people. If this is done alphabetically by last name, I don't benefit in any way. So I'm unsure of the bias that went into the initial list and then the people who had to add on to that afterwards and cross-check against the names that already were on the initial group.
Thank you.
Daniel Keogh, Tarrant County. I believe that I object to this motion due to the fact that it is that if we do it by order, the people who were nominated first would get the most votes, as my kind affiliate has pointed out, that due to voter fatigue, the first people nominated would get the most votes. So I believe we should do it alphabetically or randomized to lower voter fatigue.
The Secretary has a comment.
According to our balloting expert back here, OPA vote does not allow randomization as much as I prefer it.
So OPA vote does have an option for randomization, but with our approval voting with a for and against, we would have randomization. You can find the person for, and then the person's against would be, because it's a separate line, would be somewhere else. So, yeah, no.
Thank you.
Mr. Welch.
Kenneth Welch, Blanco County. I don't know if it's appropriate for
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I don't know if it's appropriate to amend the motion or just to object. I would like to amend the motion to make it reverse alphabetical order. For my entire life, I have felt the phenomena of voter fatigue as a W. I would like, for one time, in the interest of freedom, to have reverse alphabetical order. And if a motion's appropriate, I would like to amend the motion.
An amendment is in order. It sounds like what you're asking for is
reverse alphabetical order.
Yeah, it's an amendment by replacement, essentially.
Second.
Here, here, John.
All right, we have an amendment to.
Of course, of Wilford.
To list the order of nominations in reverse. Do I have that correct, Mr. Welch? Is that correct?
My last name.
Spell it for me. Oh, by last name. Oh, sorry. I thought you said misspelled your name. First.
This amendment has been seconded. Is there any objection to this amendment? Hearing no objection, the amendment has passed. We are back to the main motion. The main motion is that the ballots, and I'm paraphrasing obviously, but you can see the language, that the ballots will be issued with the nominees listed in reverse alphabetical order by last name. Is there any objection to this motion?
Is this the main motion, or we're in the amendment?
This is the main motion.
Because I thought we just voted on the amendment to the amendment.
We just did.
We did.
Oh, we did? Okay, sorry.
Is there any objection to this motion?
I see.
I need to hear an objection, because raising hands makes it seem as though you just have a question. So are you?
Is it possible to do? Okay, I might have an objection. Is it possible to do half the ballots A to Z and half the ballots Z to A?
That was popular.
Madam Chair.
All right.
No.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask one more time, is there objection to the motion that we are currently dealing with, which is to have the ballots issued with nominees in reverse alphabetical order by last name? Is there objection to this motion? Hearing no objection, this motion is adopted. Thanks. All right, we are now going to do the roll call. The Credentials Committee representatives are up here. Whatever order they're going to do this in, you must be present to receive a ballot. So check with your delegations. I need order so I can hear Mr. Westbrook.
During this time, while we're doing this roll call, could we ask the delegation to have complete silence, please?
Yes, I was about to ask that. Guys, please be quiet. This is very important. We don't want to miss anybody here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to read off the names of everyone that has been checked in to this convention, meaning anyone that has ever basically come to Credentials and showed up and said, "Hey, I'm here," whether you're seated or not. And so if we call your name and we don't recognize you, if you don't say "I'm here" and make sure we catch that, then you're not going to get a vote. All right? So if you want to vote, make sure you're paying attention. Or if we call somebody's name and you know they're here in the bathroom or something and they're not here, just make sure we're aware.
Yeah. Agreed. And just
request for information.
Yes.
Brooke Bailey, Denton County. Joe, for clarification, when you say if you checked in at Credentials, we're going to call your name, are you saying that would be only seated delegates or would that include alternates? Can you please clarify?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Am I getting ahead of you, Nathan?
So everyone checked in, whether our records show they're seated or not, because we're doing this roll call to find out who is actually seated. So everybody who's received a badge at any time and has not told us that they've left the convention, we're going to call your name. So that's 214 names that we're going to call.
So just to clarify, I should only respond that I'm here if I have a voter button?
No.
No,
If the badge.
No, that is correct, that we are asking for, it's a roll call of the people who are seated. So you are correct that whether your delegation is using these voter badges or not, I'll leave that to your delegation to figure out. It should only be people seated, everyone at these tables should only be seated voters. If you're not a seated voter, you should be back in the gallery, and I'd ask that they change that right now.
So, again, I'm sorry, I'm just
Yes.
trying to make sure everybody is clear on how this
Thank you.
operates. So if you are a non-seated alternate and you hear your name
Mm-hmm.
on the roll call, you should not respond.
That is correct.
Is that correct?
That is correct. If you're not a seated voter at the tables and you are an unseated alternate or a delegate who's given up their seat and you're in the gallery, you should not respond here whenever we call this roll call. We're just changing who's seated. We won't be marking who's checked in or checked out with this roll call. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, and just one more time. What we're attempting to do here is to establish who gets a ballot and who doesn't. So that's why we're focusing on who is seated.
And the final comment is the order we're going to be calling in is alphabetical by county, and then it's the order listed in the credentials report. So it's not necessarily alphabetical by name. So just listen, pay attention the whole time. And if we are moving on to the next county and did not call your name, make note of that, and we'll ask at the end, is there anyone who we missed, and we'll come back to you.
Request for information. Is it proper to, from the floor, exclaim here? Or should we approach like the microphone? I want to make sure we understand how we do this.
From your seat is
Exclaim here.
Yes.
Thank you.
As long as I can hear it.
Yeah, no need for everyone to come to the microphone.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Just
Okay,
make sure we can hear you.
So starting with Anderson County, we have Jake Parks.
Here.
Okay, then we're moving on to Bell County. The following people from Bell County: Garrett Smith, Jennifer McAfee. Yes.
I didn't hear anything.
Standing is helpful, but make sure you also audibly say that you're.
Please, yes. Please be audible. Carter Fanning. Anthony Fanning. Christopher Becker. Got him. Sean Huckabee. Paul Dar. Anthony Valdivia. Stephanie Berlin.
Here.
Nicole Martin. Edgar Coyle. Here. Megan Apodaca Coyle. Megan Apodaca Coyle. No dice. Okay. J.R. Hasselhoff. Arthur Thomas.
Present.
Rebecca Congdon. Heidi Sabotic. Deanne Welch. Kenneth Welch. Bar McManus. Michelle Z. And I apologize, I just went through Blanco and got into Brazoria. We're in Brazoria now. Luke Troxel. Seth Martin. Moving on to Brazos, we've got Jeff Miller. Megan Thompson. Christiana Garcia. Caldwell County, Alexander Watson. Francisco Lozano. Jaime Diaz. Cherokee County, Jerry Hill. Got him. Collin County, Ed Kless. Kathleen Stokes. Stanton Stokes. Rachel Wester. Christy Mowry. Mark Wester. Paul Thompson. Nathan Polsky. Richard Moore. Thomas Riley. Robert Broadfoot. Agatha Venters. Stephen Decker.
Agatha was here.
Yes, but is she seated?
She's right back there.
She is not seated. Okay. Again, let me just remind you guys, this is for seated delegates only. I know it's you want to respond here if you're here, but if you are not seated, pretend you're not. Stephen Decker. Jeffrey Venters. Michael Jones. Dallas County, Mike Dooley. Attaboy. Curry Taylor. Kevin Hale. Judith Green. David Preston. David Preston?
Here.
Yes, sir. Damon Price? Greg Race? Kyle Russell? Michelle Wigington? Maria Diaz? Phil Gray? Joe Roberts? Nicholas Z? Marshall Bierwinkle? Caitlin Santee? Rudy Hernandez? Joanna Juergens? Shane Newsom? Are we? Jason Oliver?
Is Jason seated?
Is he seated?
Yes. Not officially. We need to get him after you did the roll call.
Okay, so our records were correct. You hadn't informed us yet. Thank you, Mr. Hale.
All right. He's seated now.
Okay. Moving on to Denton County, John Wilford. Jaden Toon. Anastasia Wilford. Noah Kirby. Lee Hamilton. James Golston. Brooke Bailey. Madison Toon. Yes, it is. John Spivey. Eric Espinoza. Darren Hamilton. Miles Travis. Moving on to Ector County, Zachary Aaron Vinson. Benjamin Stephen Farmer. El Paso County, David Marino. What? Excuse me? David Marino? Okay. Brady Garland. William Collins. Ellis County, Richard Vaughn Ade. Ellis County, Richard Vaughn Ade. Do we have the captain for Ellis County here? Delegation captain for Ellis County? So he is not seated at the present time? Correct. Okay, thank you. Jeremy Edward Schroppel? Yes, sir. Thank you. Fayette County, Judith Lehman. Here. Andrew Beelan. Here. William Martin. Janessa Sample. Here. Okay. Fort Bend County, Eric Smith. Scott Peterson. Here. Crystal Bender.
Here.
What's wrong?
I just lost internet connection.
Okay, so okay, well, I'm not having to. If I get to one that I'm kind of letting you know. Okay, so where were we? I'm going to backtrack a bit here.
Apologies, my internet connection just went out.
Fort Bend, Eric Smith, Scott Peterson, Crystal Bender, Chris Clements, Robert Fredericks, Kate Prather.
LPTexas.org/donate.
Hell yeah. The development team thanks the treasurer. Joseph Duncan. John Hom. John Hom.
So I don't have it.
Okay. Megan Garlington. This is Galveston County we're in. So Megan Garlington is here. Randall Garlington. Here. Nolan Henry Schmidt. Here. Darren Pollock. Here. All right. Moving on to Hardin County. Okay. Doug Crawl. Here. Aaron Ramos. Here. Amanda Gibbs. Here. Amy Pierce. Here. Billy Pierce. Here. Bob Townsend. Here. Carol Unsicker. Carter Cole. Here. Christy Ford. Here. David Needham. Here. Zach Stafford. Here. Hannah Kennedy. Present. We are deep into Harris County. Jennifer Hobbing. Here. Jody Cole. Here. Joe White. Here. Kevin Lang. Here. Mark Ash. Here. Matthew Gibbs. Here. Maxwell P.
Yes.
Nathan Watts.
Present.
Neil Dyckman. Paul Bilyeu. Here. Richard Trojic. Scott Ford. Here. Sergio Garcia. Here. Whitney Bilyeu.
Here.
Will Lang.
Here.
James Riley.
Here.
Jonathan Alvey.
Here.
Steve Rabbit.
Texas.
That's Hayes. Steve Rabbit. Texas. Michael Smith.
Texas.
Jake Butler.
Here.
Nathan Garza.
Here.
Jay Lawrence. Henderson County, James Christopher Cook.
Here.
JC. Henderson, Thomas Trefford. Here. Desiree Lindsay.
Here.
Tyler Lindsay. Hood County, Daniel Wilterding. Here. Howard County, Shannon Thomason. Mayor Thomason. Easy press. Bradley Kyle Garrison.
He's out.
You got that?
No.
Okay. Jefferson County, Jed Dupree. Robbie Campbell. Connor Anderton. Connor Anderton's Johnson County, by the way. Christopher Owens. Llano County, Joe Burns, here. Clinton Polar. Okay. Matagorda County, Janae LeBlanc. McLennan County, Denise Buca. Okay, got her here. Ryan Pace, am I saying Pace? Okay, here. Midland County, Colby Micey. Dylan Kaler. Kenneth Burgess. Crystal Burgess. Montgomery County, Jesse Coward. Ryan Thompson. Bobby Coward. Eric Tanner. Nathan Moxley. Bethany Bustamante. Nacogdoches County, Wyatt Birkenoff. Navarro County, Michael Black. Michael Black. Yes? Melanie Black. Okay. Nueces County, Matthew Wallace. Danielle Durant. Robert Powell.
Not present.
Thank you, sir. Polk County, Robert Applebaum. David Nichols. Randall County, Jack Westbrook.
Become a lifetime member of LP Texas if you have the means, otherwise donate.
Please do as he says. Robertson, Cynthia Welch. Did I hear Cynthia? Okay, gotcha. Smith County, Brian Johnson.
Here.
Rudy Wright. Okay. Tarrant County, Donovan Pankey.
Give Congress hail.
Daniel Bledsoe. Was that Daniel Bledsoe? Okay, thank you, sir. Sean Sparkman.
Here.
Teresa Rushing.
TarrantLP.org/donate.
Manda Holcomb. Okay, right. Trey Holcomb. Jocelyn Pankey. Elizabeth Miller. Renee Perez. Anna Sparkman.
End the war on drugs.
Teresa Sparkman.
Here.
Dwayne Hammond.
I don't answer questions.
Fucking libertarian.
We already have your information.
These damn libertarians. What are you going to do with them?
We're going to use it to leave you alone.
Dwayne Hammond. Was Dwayne Hammond? Did we get Dwayne Hammond? Did we catch him?
That
was the one? Okay, I was just making sure. It threw me off, man. Michael Itzo. Andrew Gallagher. Connor Cudmore. Daniel Keogh. No. And I will help you beat one. Brian Purrs. Man, Tarrant, you're going to have to help me here. Timmy Tayo? Timoteo. Not present? Okay. Lex Green? Yes. Anthony Lindenberger? Mark Strife? No, but I do need to know if you're seated. Are you this? And I am being serious at this point. Are you seated? We have you as not seated. You are seated.
Okay.
Casey Gray. No Casey Gray. Pat Dixon from Travis County.
Here.
Ted Brown.
Here.
Mark Tippett. Girish Altakar. Here, we got to hear there. Nancy Neal. Bill Kelsey. Stephen Haskett. Arthur DiBianchi. Mary Haskett. Are you now seated, Miss Haskett? She is, you got that. Okay. Jeffrey Neal. Judith Reuter. Eric Guerra. Matthew Heflin. Sarah Heflin. John Reuter. Diane Engel. Christopher Baker. John Roberson. Andrew Hohenstein. Nathan Shepard. Negatory. Okay. Victoria County, we got Patrick Mitchell. Stephanie Bradley.
Waller County.
Oh, Waller. We're in Winder Waller. That was quick. Stephanie Bradley from Waller County. Okay. Jacob Bradley. All right. Washington County, we have Jenny Moore.
Monthly donor.
Fred Zimmerman. Andrew Amalong. Christian Hawkins. Wendy Ann Winston. Wichita County, Calvin DeWeese. Should be here. Wichita County, Calvin DeWeese. So yeah, all right, some point. Francis Nicole Brashear from Willacy County. Here, got her. Okay. Moving into Williamson County, we have Scott Talley.
Get a warrant.
He's here. Scott Horton. Scott Horton. Francesca House. Catherine Williams. Matthew House. Christopher Williams. Daniel Howard. Bo Zimmerman. Not seated. Edward Carlin. Jeremy Nolan. David Johnson. Wes Benedict. Jason Cute. Jonathan Rosenberg. Wise County, Matthew Itzo. Wise County, Matthew Itzo. Okay.
Unseated.
All right. Wood County, Lindley Van Singel. Got it, okay. Eric Van Singel.
I am not discussing my day with you, officer.
Excellent advice. That concludes it.
Is there anyone seated whose name we did not call?
If you are seated and we didn't call your name and confirm it, you aren't going to...
I see fingers being pointed, so if you could come to the mic and help us identify.
Step right up and win a ballot. Okay.
What can I do for you?
Please give me your county and name.
I'm Howard County, and I'm Bradley Garrison.
Howard County.
Yeah. All right. Howard County, Bradley Garrison?
Yes, sir.
You've been seated now. Thank you.
Thank you, County.
Is there anyone else whose name we called and they were not here and they did not respond here to us earlier? Who's seated?
Because once we start this process, there's not changing.
We have a Thomas Riley and a Thomas Riley Jr. nominated. Are those two separate people or a single person? One person? Thank you. How would you prefer to be listed on the ballot?
Thomas T.J. Riley.
With no junior. Thomas T.J. Riley, you got it.
Anyone else who did not respond here who is a seated voter at this time?
Dallas County, do you have someone you were about to seat?
Yes, sir. Jason Oliver.
Okay. We can see them.
We can do that, but as long as we know. Okay, we'll stay there. We'll come to you.
All right. We will address that after we finish here, and we'll come and fix it. So, seeing no one else at this time, we show that there are 212 seated voters, bringing the new quorum to 107. 2/3 is 142, and 5/8 is 133. We'll go resolve anything else, and then we will deliver the list of emails to those who are delivering the ballots.
Nathan, what was the 2/3 again?
2/3 is 142.
And quorum is?
107 is quorum.
What is total?
There's currently 212 seated voters.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll go continue to prepare ballots.
It is my understanding that at this point, y'all are going to be sorting out the list of people who will be receiving ballots. You'll be providing that list to the OPA vote masters over here.
That's correct.
It is important that those of you who are going to be casting ballots, remember that you've already filled one of the seats. There were 74. 74? We have 74 delegates. I need to get that confirmed. Anyway, whatever the number is that we've been allocated for national, you've already filled one. So just keep that in mind with Mr. Hale. And then we have we'll still have the 74 if that's the number we're going to. We'll still have that many alternates.
Madam Chairman,
Mr. Wells.
we have two Stephen Deckers. Is there only one Stephen Decker? In which case, spelling of your name, V or PH? Stephen V or Stephen PH? Thank you.
Request for information.
Yeah, I have a request for information. I would like to know, I have received information that a nominee has not accepted the nomination, and I would like to know what would be in order to relay that information to the Credentials Committee.
In other words, there's someone who was put into nomination who does not want to.
That's accurate, yes.
Thank you. Yeah, it needs to come from that person, though, if possible, because otherwise people can just willy-nilly take each other off the list. Do you know who nominated them? Okay. Let them, if you can just show them whatever documentation you have, that would be helpful. 74. Okay, so we have confirmed Texas has allotted 74 delegate spaces and 74 alternate spaces at the National Convention. You have already elected Kevin Hale to fill seat number 1. So there are 3 remaining delegate spots, but 74 remaining alternate spots. Just want to make sure everybody understands that. Mr. Billiard.
Paul Billieu, Harris County. At what point does the body need to address the people who want paper ballots instead of the OPA vote ballots?
That's going to be up to them.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody remembers
As soon
it.
as someone knows that that's what they want, then if that's what they did yesterday, I think that is not going to be automatic.
So does the Credentials Committee or the Balloting Committee or whoever's doing the ballots need to let the body know when and where they need to pick up
Mr.
paper
Burns?
ballots?
If someone wants paper ballot instead of the email, do they need to come first to Credentials to have their name removed from the list?
Yes.
Okay.
Sooner rather than later.
Yes, so as soon as possible, if you know that you want a paper ballot instead of an email, please see the Credentials desk so that your name will be removed from the email list that they are going to be sending over to the people creating ballots. ASAP.
Matthew Wall.
Ms. Ford. Okay. Thank you. Yes, to reiterate, if you already went through that process yesterday and did it by paper yesterday, that is going to be the default practice for you today.
Matthew Wallace, Nueces County. Request for information. What is the maximum number of yes votes one can cast on this ballot?
As many as you want. It's approval voting.
Understood. Thank you.
Just know that only the top 74 are going to be the ones that get in, assuming they meet the majority. Mr. Perez.
Madam Chair, request for information. Is it true that alternates from Texas that go to the national convention can potentially become delegates in other states and potentially expand the influence of the...
It depends on what state, and I don't have a list of who accepts them and who doesn't. So I can't help you with there. I just know that we don't accept them. Yeah, some of them do.
Laugh and takes everybody.
Mr. Roberts.
Joe Roberts, Dallas County. Request for information. One of our nominees is the, just for information, not knowing how the voting at national works, one of our nominees is the presumptive convention chair of the national convention. Would that individual already have voting rights by virtue or tie-breaking rights, and would she, I guess basically what I'm asking is, would she be voting in her role as a delegate in addition to moderating the convention?
If not as a delegate, then no.
All right, so in the interest of filling our slots, if that person is already going to be at the convention presiding over the convention, is there any advantage to nominating, voting for that person to be a delegate?
Since that person is me.
Yes.
We'll dispense with.
Right.
You're asking if I need to be a delegate in order to still participate, or are you asking?
Right. So just cutting to the chase, since you are the presumptive convention chair, would that be taking someone else's vote? In a sense, are you able to vote as the convention chair, as opposed to voting as a delegate?
I am able to vote if I am a delegate.
But not as if you're a convention chair.
being convention chair does not automatically.
Okay, that's what I know. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Madam
so-
Chair,
Yes.
Matthew Heflin,
Say-
Travis
repeat
County.
your name?
Matthew Heflin,
Matthew
Heflin,
County?
Travis County.
Travis County.
Request for information. So given the current majority requirement, each person to be a delegate requires 107 votes.
Based on the count, yes, that is
So
what I have noted.
if anyone who receives less than 107 votes is not a delegate.
That is the way it is written. That's correct. Thank you.
Chris Baker, Travis. I move for a 10-minute recess.
Okay, give me 1 second. I might have an announcement or two to make first, but thank you for that. You are not a delegate at our convention. So, Mr. DiBianca, do you have...
Parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
Arthur DiBianca from Travis. If during our vote, if an individual receives more against votes than for votes, can that individual be elected as an alternate?
It is my understanding that the only time the against votes come into play is when there is a tie, potentially. Mr. Wilford, I see, is approaching the microphone perhaps to provide additional illumination.
So yeah, as was pointed out earlier, there was some really confusing wording that made people think that alternates needed a majority, and we went through that. And I think in all that confusion that point did get missed. So if it's in order at this point, I would make a motion to suspend the rules in order to say anyone who gets more against votes than for cannot even be an alternate. Is that in order?
Madam Chairman, the chair might just be able to rule on the parliamentary inquiry.
Point of order.
Mr. Wilford is...
I'm in the middle of that. Mr. DiBianca, you're asking...
Is it the chair's ruling, is the chair's understanding of the motion, that if an individual receives more against votes than for votes, can that individual be elected as an alternate?
As of right now, I don't think that is the case. Yes.
Can I speak to that real quick?
Thank you.
More no votes than yes votes. But it's not codified. So what Mr. Wilford is saying is that we can actually make that a rule at this point, is what he is suggesting.
John, is
Point of order.
John.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Dykeman?
I'd ask for ruling of the chair. NOTA is always on the ballot. Always, unless we want to suspend the rules and remove NOTA, which I do not think has support in this body. Can the chair simply rule that if you cannot beat NOTA, you cannot get elected to anything in this body?
Mr. Dykeman, are you saying that if a person gets more no votes than yes votes, then
They cannot be elected to
that is the
anything
same
in this
thing as
body.
NOTA?
That is,
Beating
I
them?
assume that's what NOTA is on this ballot for. I'm asking for your ruling on that point.
Then if that is the case, then no, someone who receives more no votes than yes votes would not be elected.
Correct. So that should dispense with Mr. Wilford's issue.
Yes. Thank you.
Is NOTA actually going to be on the ballot as an option, or just yes and no's?
The way that NOTA is represented in this particular situation is by having a person listed twice, once with a for and once with an against. The voting against is them running against NOTA. So the way NOTA beats a person is
they have
voting against them.
Okay, so the motion by Wilford earlier only listed no's for tiebreaker, and it only listed majority for delegates, not alternates. So more no's than yeses disqualifying alternates was not any part of his motion.
But I believe the chair just said that by definition, having more no's and more against than fors means they lost the NOTA vote.
That is the mechanism by which we are applying NOTA. Is the more no votes.
I don't think NOTA, none of the above, is the same as no. I will challenge the ruling.
I would agree with you, but that is what this
I'm challenging the ruling.
body and the body previously in 2020 has adopted, and so that's where we are. That has been the
I said I'd like to
application
challenge that
of
ruling.
NODA since 2020.
I'd like to challenge that ruling.
Can you speak up louder? I can't hear you.
I need to know exactly what ruling you're challenging. Are you challenging? Are you now saying that you don't want to ballot the way we're balloting with the yeses and nos? You want to add NODA to the ballot?
I'm
not
fine with
understanding what you want.
yeses and nos being used as a tiebreaker and a method to say majority, therefore not a delegate. But that is not the same as none of the above. None of the above invalidates a ballot. We've had this discussion many times.
None of the above is actually the way these ballots are going to be printed. There is not going to be a line for none of the above.
And it's supposed to appear on all of our ballots, I thought.
Okay,
So
that's fine. So you would have none of the above as a yes and none of the above as a no? Or for and against?
No, I'm fine with for and against. And a NODA at the bottom.
Okay, so what you're proposing is just to add none of the above to the ballot. Are you proposing to add none of the above to the ballot?
I'm not going to lie. I need a minute.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm proposing exactly.
Was that Colby?
That was Colby.
I'll rescind that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Pinckney, I need order in the room. We still have people asking questions.
point of parliamentary inquiry. If we had a NODA separately on the ballot, then people could vote yes for NODA, which would be yes against all the other candidates. And then therefore, if they also marked for of a given candidate, then that would indicate a spoiled ballot because we do not know the voter's intent.
That is my interpretation. All right, so at this time we are waiting for ballots to be sent out, correct? I had someone ask for, there was a motion for a recess. Was there a second?
I didn't hear him move.
It was Chris Baker, I believe. Yes, there was a second. Is there any objection to, Mr. Baker, how many minutes did you request?
Request for information.
We had a request for 10-minute recess. Is there any objection to a 10-minute recess?
Request for information.
Mr. Ford.
If we go on recess and the ballots are sent, does the timer start then, or does the timer start once we get back from
For the
recess?
40 minutes that we allotted earlier?
Correct.
The timer starts when they send the ballots. So, gentlemen with the OPA vote, Mr. White and Mr. Thomas.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a good chance we're about to take a 10-minute recess, and we need to know if that 40 minutes for balloting will start. We know it starts as soon as you send the ballots out.
We still need about 10 minutes to prepare the ballots now.
So that will not be done until we return.
Madam Chairman.
It's a good time to take a break then. Yep, I can go to my recess and say we're about to start the ballot.
I think we need to know. I think it's better if we just know that it's not going to happen until we get back. Okay. Okay, thank you. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
We'll wait until recess is over. So, let's get this 10-minute recess over.
Madam Chairman.
Objection to 10-minute recess. There is an objection to a 10-minute recess.
Madam Chairman.
Mr. DiBianca.
I'd like a point of personal privilege. I would like to yield to Mr. Cohen for a very short announcement.
I was going to do that as soon as we got into
Thank you.
recess. As soon as we got into recess. But there has been an objection to that recess. So, all in favor of a 10-minute recess, please raise your hand. All opposed?